right. Well, this is Crazy John here with OSH Radio, and today I'm back to interviewing what I used to do was musicians and artists, and I'm interviewing Christopher Nelson. Now, I've known you for, I don't know, could be 20 years already. It's been a long time.
Back when we had the band.
Yeah, you were, I think you knew me before I was even doing the Seventh Layer stuff. You knew me when I was doing that country band thing. Because one time we played a kind of a gig together. You played upstairs, I played downstairs, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that. That was out near school, somewhere in Schuylkill County.
Yeah, we played there a couple times. That was nice. And yeah, so we've known each other on and off for a long time and kind of chase each other around, sort of, ghost each other. Like I said, I play a place, you end up there and stuff.
Yes.
Now, you do have a new album out. Now, totally, how many albums do you have out right now? You have some previous ones.
There are 6 studio albums of that just have my name on them, and then there was a couple that I had released prior to that I used to use the band's name, which was Fishkill. And after
that's it,
I moved here. Excuse me.
I was gonna say that's it. I couldn't remember the band's name, Fishkill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it actually was a recording project. And when I moved to Pennsylvania, I had decided I wanted to make it into a live band. And it was for about 2 years, roughly. And we toured around, but we really didn't get a whole lot of audience participation. It was kind of an uphill battle because we wanted to play mostly originals. And after a while, we just gave up on it. And I started releasing albums as solo act. And I did do some playing live as an acoustic act for a while too. I had stopped doing that mostly because of scheduling things, and I don't like being out to Louise Malls in the morning if I don't need to. And really, I think I get more participation or interaction, if you will, online than I do live, which is kind of weird.
Well, I think we were talking earlier before I started recording about how things changed, and when the old days of OSH Radio, we were live, and then I went to a show that had recordings and flash players, and people would send me music, put it up, and now I've changed it to a news and music information site, and it's interesting how it has kind of changed. And even before COVID, I found they used COVID a lot to blame trends on, but that there were trends that started where clubs didn't want to be open, they didn't want to pay for full bands, they wanted to close early, they wanted to only pay for like one guy to do acoustic. And
even then they didn't want to pay for a guy to do acoustic, because I had that situation a few times too.
It has changed a lot, and it's very interesting. So that is how things are going. It's interesting to me because, we're both older, of course. We're only in our late 30s, of course, both of them, us, I'm sure. Sarcasm there. But it's interesting to me how they used to make fun of things online all the time. And now things have been, it's okay to be online now. Now this is the norm. And that's almost become like, you want to go see somebody live? That's weird. So it's kind of strange. It's funny to me how the trend has changed. Although, now that things are opening up, I'm starting to see some people, like for educational classes and stuff, starting to make fun of online training again, saying it's better to do it in person. Well, I think it is better in person, but I think the online everything is going to be, it's going to stay. It's probably going to get to be 3D eventually. We're going to probably get our 3D glasses out, and I'll go to your gig sitting in my living room with my 3D glasses on, and get to walk around you while you're sitting there playing.
That would not surprise me. I think part of the problem is the interactivity. I actually am thinking about doing a live online show. I don't know if I have enough people who'd be willing to do it. I don't want to wind up spending the whole time, basically practicing by myself. I'd like to have some audience participation. The problem with that is that you don't really feel the audience participation. When you're on stage with a group of people, you can always get the energy coming back to you. I think the best way I've heard it described is Carlos Santana and his watering analogy. Basically, it's like spraying water on flowers, and you can actually feel it come back to you as you're on the stage. I think that we lose a lot of that in the interactivity because while I can see you and I can talk to you, that's about the only amount of communications we have online. It's similar to being on a telephone, if you understand what I mean. When you're talking to somebody personally, you can sort of pick up on feelings and things like that that you don't really have the ability to do when you're working through through an online situation or through any kind of a connection, if you will. That's my basic opinion on that. Some people may differ with that. I just find it difficult not to interact with people when I'm not around people. If I'm in a room by myself, I have to pretend that there's people in the room in order to get any kind of I guess, a stage presence, if you will.
Well, I agree with it. Being able to see people helps you a little bit, but still it's not exactly the same thing. I mean, it would be interesting. I was just thinking when you're saying that actually to have the other musicians and you'd have like toggles of all the blocks of all the people and the musicians playing different places. But, that's not exactly the same either. And the timing's going to be off. And
right.
It's an interesting, it's a total gig like that with all the windows, like if you see some of these things, that guy, what's the one guy does all that positivity guy, the big guy, Robinson, or what's his name? Can't think of it, but he does that thing where he's a big screen and there's a whole bunch of people and he can see the people, but they're each sections. I don't see how you get that quite right though. I mean, but what you said about the energy, I had interviewed Jerry Only, and he talked about the energy, from the Misfits, and he said that was the best part to him. He said he'd take his energy and he'd throw it out, and he said it would roll around and come back to him, and that was the best feeling.
Yeah, a lot of artists have experimented with that. I know the Who did the thing with, I forgot what, the Lifehouse Project, where they basically had these people inside an auditorium. They were giving free concerts, and the whole idea was to see how long they could keep that level of euphoria going. And it just, things like that, I really think that you can't get that. And again, maybe I'm just showing my age, but it just seems to me that that's kind of defeats the purpose of being able to play, being able to share something with people in that respect. To be able to, the live performance is supposed to promise something that you may not necessarily see or you may not necessarily hear on recording. Some bands play the songs totally different live than they do on the recording. I know my old band was like that. We had recordings and stuff that we did. It didn't sound anything like what it was when we did live. So, that's the kind of thing. You're giving something extra, something special.
Well, I was thinking when you were saying that a sad thing might be that the young people today, the younger people, might not be expecting that extra thing because maybe they don't even think about it because they're not used to it. Maybe they're not requesting it or wanting it or even desiring it, which is kind of sad in itself because they might not know what they are missing. But let's get back to your music a little bit. We deviated to some ideas. So you first had Fishkill, and now your album you have out now, I had it up here, is Blacklight Ambience by Chris Nelson. That's correct. And now we know you've been doing music a while. How do you feel coming up to this album? How has your music changed, and what do you think is the highlight of this album?
I think the highlight of this album is the fact that the attitude is the strongest it's been. I personally think this is the best album I've ever made, but the context in which the songs are and the fact that the world we are currently existing in is, I don't want to say hostile, but just not a very friendly place. And I think that the album kind of picks that feeling up and throws it back out at people. Whether that was intentional or not, I'm not entirely sure. A lot of the songs actually were written just prior to the pandemic, and I've had some other things that are frustrated. I've noticed some of the trends that people have had over the years, and there seems to be more of this idea of building yourself up into something that you're not, or creating a fictitious avatar that makes other people think that you're something you're not. And to a certain extent, yeah, we all do it. I mean, yeah, I have a website, but that's for people to understand, where the music is, a little bit about me. I don't profess to be a rock star. I'm not yeah, technically I have a label, but it's my own label and I press my own stuff. It's not like I'm a signed artist, but there are people out there who put on the full show and they want people to think that, they're all that. They want people to think that these are guys that, they're influencers. These people are authorities on stuff. And no, they're not. They're just people. And they just happen to have a lot of people who are interested in what they're saying, but that doesn't make them any more or any less of anything else. It's just they have the podium at the moment. And
Well,
I think Wrecking Ball.
I have to admit, sometimes now I've been online since the beginning, and I joked in the early days that I would take it over. And you can find stuff about me all over the place. But I never thought of myself as an influencer, and I love that name, influencer. And it makes you wonder sometimes, okay, you're an influencer, but who are you influencing? I mean,
you look at some of these people, I wonder what kind of people follow these people. They want to know everything, they want to follow everything that these people do. Really? Why? Don't you have anything better to do with your time? Or better yet, don't you have any ideas? Do you need to have somebody think for you? Or are you following them just because it's entertaining? So, some of these people, I don't quite understand the whole mindset of, well, this person, I have to follow this person. This person is like, no, they're not. They're just a person. And you take and leave what they have. I guess, again, I'm rambling.
No, I agree with you. But I hate to say the next thing I'm going to say. It's sort of like they've always been with entertainers, movie stars, musicians, singers, bands. When it comes to political things, people take advice from them as far as politics and issues, and sometimes they are up on issues. I'm not want to say they're not, but are they really the people you should be getting your guidance from? I'm not sure. I mean, there are some people in the entertainment world that I like myself. I was just looking on my Amazon at what movies I had parts in that my face comes up in, and that in 25 cents doesn't buy me a coffee or a newspaper in the morning, but it is a nice pat on the back. But yet, what does that mean in the long run? It's makes me feel nice, but I don't think anybody should be voting the way I want to vote just because I say to, or doing anything.
People. And I share my opinions based on the fact that it's kind of like a discussion. You talk to somebody, you get their ideas, you have your ideas, you draw your own conclusions, you make your own decisions, but ultimately the choice is yours. But there is a trend, and it's a disturbing trend that I'm seeing now, where people kind of follow blindly, and they're not saying, well, why are we doing this? Where are we going? We should know where we're going. We should understand the implications of the things that we do. And that seems to be going away.
They just want to go there because other people are going there. They want to be part of the group.
I want to be able to know where I'm going and make sure it's going to be someplace we want to go.
Well, exactly. Well, what comes back to your music and you wanting to do original music, and I think that's great. Although it is a pity, this was a discussion me and my son used to have about he only wanted to do his original music. And he's doing very good right now, but he finally did start throwing covers in with his music. Mm-hmm. And when you go out and play, it's good to have a couple covers thrown in. I mean, yeah. But at one time, he didn't want to do it at all. So.
You want to do the song because it's a fun song to do and everybody has a good time with it. I had my share of cover songs that I did, both with the band and when I played by myself. But they're ones I wanted to do. There's stuff that I enjoyed listening to, and I thought other people would like to listen to. I like Steve Miller, for example. I did a couple of his tunes. Another one, when I was in the band, we did Tommy James. We did a cover of Dragging the Line. It was kind of fun the way we did it. So we brought something new to the song, even though it was relatively old, but it was still recognizable. So people understood it and they got it, those who watched. We had a problem with that. We wouldn't get very big audiences.
Well, I have to admit, Seventh Layer, we had a couple covers we did, and we did have some approval for some of them because we redid it, and some of the artists were like, hey, that's cool. You know, some of them don't expect you to make money for them. I think it's when you start making money off their stuff that they're really concerned. But I think it's original. And getting back to what I was saying with that is you've been always trying to throw out your message with your original music and your thoughts. And I think that's great. And so getting back to this album, so the concept you were saying is, again, concept behind it is about.
Well, I would say that it's really just a reflection of the times. It's not really about anything. It's just all the songs kind of line up in that, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that I'm less than thrilled about. And some of it, except for two songs. There's one song on there that's kind of a positive song. I wanted to end the album on a very positive note. I thought that Daylight was a great way to do that. And there's a song on there about the spirit of adventure, and that was an idea that was just basically something different, other than the usual punk kind of everything screwed up. My roots are punk, so there's a lot of stuff that comes out of that. Even though it doesn't sound punk, it still has an attitude.
Well, I mean, you could do the half full, the glass half full, the half glass empty.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I liked Wrecking Ball, which was your first one.
Mm-hmm.
Then I liked your World of Superman, and
yeah, that's inspired by 80s music.
So this album, let me see, has 12 songs on it, and it just came out in March, I believe, right?
March 1st, that's correct.
And you can get this almost anywhere. I got it off of iTunes, and
it's on Amazon, it's on Spotify. If you go to my website, there's a button called Link to Me, and if you click on that, I've got all the streaming sites on there that I actually have links for. There's even more that I don't have links for. I go fish, they're out there somewhere. But those are the big ones.
So what is your website then, so people know that might be listening to this?
It's chrisnelsonband.com.
Oh, well, that's pretty easy then. And now, like you said, how many albums did you have out just as Chris Nelson? How many?
6.
6?
One before, actually 7 total titles, but one of them is a compilation. What I did was I took some of the really old stuff I had, remixed, reworked, in some cases re-recorded, and reissued that. And that's the Fish Stories disc. So there's actually true to that on Bandcamp. There's 2 albums that are on Bandcamp that are not available anywhere else, and that's just because, well, I wanted to do something special for Bandcamp, and that was there's a live acoustic album on there called Live at the Aurora. There was an Aurora Cafe down in Mechanicsburg, and I recorded the session and came back and filtered and edited and came up with, I think, 13 tracks. And then there's the Fish Stories Disc 2, which had more material. Originally, Fish Stories was supposed to be a double album, but it actually got complicated, so I whittled it back down to 20 songs to make it fit on a disc, and that worked out real well. But it was a lot of work. It took almost a year to do that. And so I've had, of the studio ones that I went in to make and actually come out with, there were 6, starting with the with Nightfall, and then moving forward from there.
Now the Fish Story ones, are they some of the old Fishkill stuff, or is that different?
That's the stuff that I recorded under the name Fishkill, but there is one track on there that the band recorded. We actually made an EP, and there were 3 tracks on it, and that was one of the tracks from it.
So as far as actual gigs, you don't do gigs too often anymore, or do you every so often?
Everybody wants me to go out late, and frankly, I don't want to. Then there hasn't been a whole lot of audience participation, and if there's other ways to gain people's attention, like I said, I'm doing better just by promoting my stuff online, and at least I get some reactions that way.
That's true. Yeah, there's every so often there's things during the day. I know, Sherry Mullen. Have you ever seen Sherry Mullen stuff? She sometimes, yeah. I know I've seen stuff of hers during the day at different activities, and that's even further and farther in between than some of the other stuff. But Yeah, that's nice. I agree with you too. Is I don't like being up as late as I used to either. I turn into a pumpkin.
I'm not late either, and I got to work in the morning.
Well, I always
So
joke that I don't have. I'm getting older and I don't have the energy to, uh, you know, want to get in trouble, let alone get in trouble.
yeah,
I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't have the energy to get in trouble anyhow. So it's like a mute point. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I think they kind of came at the same time.
well, what I did now is I recorded a few songs on acoustic that are on my YouTube channel. There's just about, I think there's 4 or 5 up there. I've got more. I just got tired of putting them up there because it seemed a little desperate. I am planning on going back to that. I'm going to record some of the songs off of this new record, acoustic versions of it, and post some of them up there. And I'd like to do some videos over the summer. I have a friend of mine to help me do a video a long time ago. He's still got the equipment, and I've been waiting for the warmer weather. And then hopefully we can do some more, and I may be able to get at least 3 more videos out of this record.
So you have your website, chrisnelsonband.com, and
Yes.
your YouTube station. What is that called? Just Chris Nelson?
Chris Nelson Band.
Chris Nelson Band also. That makes it easy to remember. And
Yeah.
now that you have this
There
out,
too.
I know I always have projects rolling around in my head. You got this finished over, but is there something else you're already working on?
Well, I've been writing some new tunes. It's been slow going because I put everything I had into this last record, and I'm a little tired. But I did write a few, and there's some people I want to work with. There's a side project that I've got involved in about 3 years ago. Lyricist Jason Peverett, he writes lyrics with no music, and I put some music to it. We came up with an album called You'll Be All Right, and that came out in 2019, and that's also available for streaming. And we've been talking about doing some more, and I'm waiting for him to send me more lyrics. He's busy writing his book series right now. He's been writing a fiction book series. It's called Laphus Maximus, and that's available on Amazon too. But once he's all finished,
I take it.
What's that?
That's comedy, I take it.
No, it's actually science fiction. Well, it's got a little comedy.
All right, I have a friend I do some music stuff with that just put out a joke riddle book. It's actually kind of entertaining, So, yeah, I've been doing lyric writing, and I've been doing, I don't know if you saw some stuff with Joey Wells, who was the keyboardist for Bill Haley and the Comet. And I do stuff with my son. I do some lyrics, and he'll do some backing tracks for me. And because sometimes I write things that me and Joey write together, and it doesn't actually end up being my vision. So then I try to do my vision, and have my son do a track for me. Tomorrow I'm off to do go up north to Muncie and do some writing with Jeff from White Witch. See how that goes. That's something we said we were going to do 20 years ago that never happened.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm into too. Still doing stuff. Just I'm not going out doing shows. And every so often, like Mel Havoc called me up one Friday and said, "Hey, do you want to go do a gig tomorrow?" And I'm like, "That's kind of close. You're not giving me much notice here." And part of me wants to, and part of me doesn't. I always say you go out and gig after a long time, and you kind of remember everything you liked about it. And you remember everything you hated about it at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am too, but
moving all the equipment around and going in, and like I said, I think the late nights are probably the real turnoff because I didn't even like coming back late at the time I was doing it. It was kind of, I just did it because it's something that was, I just overlooked that part basically and just said, all right, well, at least I got a chance to go out and play. But it just, the reward does not exceed the output that I have to do in order to be able to do that.
Oh, I'm sure you missed the big money and the wild women and the cameras and the news and
yeah, that's right.
That's sarcasm.
I
I always joke. People say, because I have projects out there, books, music, movie things, and everybody says, "Why are you retired and you still work part-time jobs? You should have all kinds of money." I'm like, people don't realize the money, the fractions of a pennies just come trickling in. Fractions of pennies.
well, I debt relief, so I fully understand this. I work at the VA, and a lot of people come to us because they can't afford the bills that they've incurred for their medical treatment. And so our job is to try to take away that. So I do understand. I've seen some frightening figures come out of some of these people that are retired.
Well, some of these bills they charge you for stuff for the hospitals are horrible. It's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable, and it's. I do think I saw a news show talking about that. We're a little off the music here, but where they went to different hospitals in New York City and asked them the prices for the same operation, and like how it varied by $20,000-$30,000, and
Yeah.
it was just ridiculous. It's an interesting world we live in. That's all I can say. But probably some good topics to write some songs about, though.
Oh, yeah. Like I said,
experience. That's good,
and I have at least two more albums in me before I finally decide to stop, which I don't know if I'll actually stop. But this time around, it seemed like it was very hard to get things put together. I mean, the songs were there, but I think the production aspect of things, I had to change computers. And then I found out some of my old programs didn't run on the new computer. So I had to go out and get new stuff. And then I had to learn how to use that new stuff. So, I mean, it all worked out. But when I talk about initiation by fire, it was something else.
Oh, we even talked about that here using Skype, how it changed from when we used it earlier to when we're using it now, how it's changed. And it's amazing how the things change. But I tell you what, I've already had you on here for 35 minutes, so I'll let you go. We'll plug this here. And here's just a little picture of it. There you go, your album. And hopefully people see this and not only go out and listen to that, but go back and listen to all your older stuff too.
It's all.
That's what we hope. And as they do that, some more fractions of pennies will come trickling in for you. And
really, I want to share the music. I want people to hear that. If we basically one of the things, another trend I've noticed is people are always talking about play streams. They're always saying, "Oh, well, you got to get all these different people, and you've got to get all these different plays." And well, okay, fine. But if somebody's just playing the music and they're not listening to it, I'm not communicating. I want to be able to. That's a good point. And I'm not reaching anybody if it's just bots doing this and people playing stuff mindlessly and not paying attention while it plays in the background somewhere. That's not, to me, any kind of communication. That's not really what I'm about.
No, I can see that. That's a good idea. I like that. And I had sometimes concepts of songs come from weird things to me. I had a song said "I love you, buddy. You got to get the hell out of my way." And actually, that song was about the dog, and because you know how you have a dog and you love it, but it's always in your way. And it's like, I love you, but you got to get the hell out of my way. But
you mentioned World of Superman. That song is based on the fact that people are volunteering for the wrong reasons. They're volunteering to be seen. They're volunteering because they want to be seen doing something, not because they really care about the cause or if they really want something to do. I'll give you an example. When I was in Washington, my family and I heard that they were looking for people to actually help pick up Thanksgiving turkeys. And they said, just if you want to help out, just come down and volunteer. So we come down there as a family and say, "Hey, we're here to help." And they kind of look at us like, "Why? And you're not a group." I said, "No, we wanted to help. We saw it on TV. We're looking for volunteers." So, okay, go sit in that truck over there and just take stuff that people give you. And we did that. And we did that for about 2 hours and then we left. And I just got the general feeling we weren't all that appreciated. Even if we hadn't gone there, they wouldn't have cared. And that's the kind of stuff I've noticed, that they are looking at groups volunteering. They're looking at clubs volunteering, but the actual idea is to support the thing that the volunteers are needed for. And that gets lost in all this. It kind of gets covered up by the fact that all these different groups are doing something. I suppose it's all right, but to me, it just seems like, once again, we're going in the wrong direction to accomplish what we're setting out to do, which is to help people with these issues that they need help with.
Kind of doing the right things, but for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
The clubs, I saw that was a discussion myself and my girlfriend had this week about something, I won't say what, but where it seems to be what's volunteering, it was a volunteer thing again, is groups. They want to be able to say, hey, they did this. Look at what they did. And then they put it in their newsletter, or they put it on their Twitter, or
self-aggrandizement than it is about serving a cause or helping somebody out. And that, to me, is just wrong. And that's why I said, what if I didn't do anything? What if I say I'm not going to bother? Okay, what are you going to do about that? Okay, you don't care if I help you, so I'm just going to say publicly, I'm not going to help you. Is that going to help? The whole idea of people, everything being more about posturing and less about sincerity is, I guess, one of the driving factors of some of the things that I've been writing about. And that's just stuff that really kind of gets under my skin, because I don't think people need to be like that. I think this is a time where people should be coming together, and it seems like we're growing farther apart.
That's sad, but you're probably true. And it is interesting. It has to do with this. It has to do with this media thing, which right now we're doing a video for YouTube. But still, hopefully this is helping get your new album out. But I see that, and it is interesting to me also. When I was young in junior high, I used to do a lot of door-to-door money collection for cancer, muscular dystrophy, Jerry's Kids, all the different organizations. And it was interesting to me how people will react to you when you come door to door. I wasn't doing it for any purpose other than to raise some money. And, to help raise money for the cause, because I thought it was a good thing to do. But sometimes you get the door slammed in your face, or people be yelling at you, or, my family member died of cancer and they did nothing for him. Well, they need to do research and work on it. So, okay, be mad at them because they did nothing, but don't help them to do anything either. So it was even frustrating back then, but I think less. What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, and it's kind of rude acting like that, because if somebody's asking you for that and it's for a cause and you really can't or don't want to donate, I said, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Or, there's a nice way to do that. You don't slam the door in somebody's face. That's just an excuse to be rude.
And back then I couldn't post it on Facebook or Twitter or anything. But I guess if I had been a Cub Scout or a Boy Scout, I maybe could have gotten a badge for it, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't that either. So I just did it because I thought it was a good thing to do.
It's the heart. That's actually the root of the contamination, if you will, is the fact that they used to offer people special prizes if they sold the most boxes, or if they did the most whatever, then they'd get rewarded. The idea of rewarding somebody got out of hand, and then it became a competition to win the prizes. And then it was less about what it was you were doing. It was just about how you were getting it done.
And that was sort of the same, that also was sort of the same gratification as the social media then, to be honest with you. Just a different form. But that is sad. But
same way. People come out here and they make themselves up to be made up celebrities, essentially. And some of them have ridiculous amounts of people following them. And for whatever reason, I guess people do.
And they get money for it. So
yeah. You get past a certain amount of viewers, they actually pay you. Go figure.
Yep. I'm not at that point. I did look at that, and I'm almost there, but not quite. So, next time you could be talking about me, No. I hope, like you said about your music, I was saying to my son the one day, you kind of hope that someday something you do really catches somebody's attention and they really like it. And then they go back and look at all the other stuff you did and then they go, wow, this stuff he had something here. I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping. I hope that happens for you. I hope neither one of us has to die before that happens. But it would be nice for somebody to recognize our art and, the pieces of us that we put into our art, because that's what you do.
That's the whole idea. It is a part of you, like you said. It is the creative process is kind of like an extension of yourself, and that goes with anything. I'm also working on a book that I started 6 years ago. Eventually, I'll go back to finishing it, but I just kind of got distracted with other stuff.
That happens. But that's good. But I tell you what, I'll let you go. It's almost 45 minutes. And everybody, it was Christopher Nelson. Look him up on chrisnelsonband.com or youtube.com/Chris Nelson Band, and catch his stuff, download it. If you already pay Apple like that $10 a month, you can just tack his on to everything else you're listening to, and it doesn't cost you anything more. So take a listen. Might be something new that you really like. Might go back and listen to his old albums. Like I said, I've known this gentleman for a while and enjoyed for a long time now. Hate to admit sometimes how long things have been. And I've always enjoyed his music, the band and himself. So thank you, Chris. Look forward to talking to you again. Hopefully next album we'll do this again, or that book. Have you finished that book?
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.